What was it about the late 80s and the 90s where we were just obsessed with and entranced by airy sounds? Yes, airy sounds. You know what those are. If you're familiar with the Dreamcast, it's that sound that plays during the logo that's like a ping-pongy kind of water droplet in a cave type sound. That sound. That's an airy sound. Now, when I say airy sound, I mean it both literally and figuratively. Literally in the sense that there is an airy quality to it, usually with white noise going through some resonant filter, and the resonance is tracked to a pitch so you can actually play it, and you can get notes out of it. Or in the more figurative sense, it's any sound that gives you a sense of weightlessness, something that has a dreamlike quality, something very ethereal, something that when you hear it, it sounds like you're on a different plane of existence, right? Those types of sounds. Purely subjective definition, but that's the one that I'm going with. And for the sake of this video, I am going to design both types of sounds. So let's start with a literal sound, something very noisy, very airy. Yes. Let's start by making that water droplet sound, that Dreamcast type sound. I'm using phase plant for this, but it doesn't really matter what you use. As long as you have a synth with a noise generator and a filter, that's pretty much all you need. I think I like using phase plant more and more because doing it this way, for me, allows me to show sort of the relationship between things like oscillators, envelopes, filters, modulators, whereas with any other synth, that will already be set up in the UI, and UIs between these different synths are not necessarily going to match. So if you're looking at making something in a very specific synth that has everything already set up and routed for you, that may not seem to be as easy to recreate on something else that has a completely different UI. So because this seems to be a bit more open, at least to me, then I want to use this. So that's why I'm using it. But you could use anything, as long as it has noise and a filter. I opened up an analog thing, and I did not want the analog. First thing I'm going to do is put in a noise generator. Bit of an annoying sound, and just right off the bat, I'm going to change the envelope a little bit so I can get the droplets. Okay. Nice. This way, I can already get the shape of the sound that I want. And over in here, I'm going to add the filter. This is where we're going to really get the sound, because this sound is very basic. Here, we're narrowing down the frequencies that we want, and we're getting a little bit of a pitch here. Hear how it almost sounds like a C? We're going to increase the slope of the filter so it narrows down even more. I just played a bunch of different notes, and it's all the same frequency. So the way we change that is to go down here and add a note. And we're going to use this, and we're going to modulate the cutoff. In other synthesizers, you might have something called key tracking, and what that allows you to do is to set the filter or even the pitch to track across the keyboard. So whatever you set it to, if you move up the keyboard, the filter will open up, and if you move down, it will close down. In phase plant, that can be done with this note module. I haven't found any key tracking module anywhere in here as an alternative to this. So that sounds like this. Got to change the pitch from E flat to a C-ish note. That is a little bit too resonant for me, and I'm also going to bring the sound down, the slope down. I think a slope of 3 is just fine for this. Now, of course, we want to give it the sense of it's in a cave, right? So we're going to add a little bit of delay. Very low feedback, some tone, and maybe some pan. Low in the mix, bounce. Bounce is left and right for the panning. So if we set pan to this, if it bounces, it's going to go left and right. If it's in the center, there's going to be no bounce. It's very bright up there. I kind of want to control that just a little bit by modulating the Q. And what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to modulate it in the opposite direction. So I have it modulating the cutoff by going plus 100. So whenever the cutoff whenever I play a higher note, the cutoff is going to open, but I'm going to have it go in the opposite direction for the cue. So if I play higher notes, it's actually going to reduce the resonance a little bit. So I don't want these higher notes to be too terribly bright and resonant. A little bit more. That's better. And now we're going to add some reverb. Some reverb. Let's increase the decay, dampen it only a little bit because we do want it to be a bit bright. Increase the size. Bring the mix up. Stereo width, sure. Still very noisy, a little bit more noisy than that Dreamcast sound, but it's pretty much there. This is the sound, and it sounds very lofty indeed. But of course, we can increase the slope to 4, maybe even more. And that's pretty nice and dreamlike as well. And that's pretty much the sound. All you need to do. Now we're going to get into something a little bit more complex. I'm going to make a pad that has a lot going on. It's going to have noise. It's going to have analog oscillators. It's going to have some digital oscillators, maybe even a bell in there. It's just going to be very, very textured and layered and all of that good stuff. But it's also going to be very light. And let's do it. So I'm going to start with noise again. I'm going to have that. That looks good. Now I'm going to add 2 filters. And the reason why I'm going to add 2 filters is because I want a high pass and a low pass, and I want them to be resonant at different bands. So what we're going to do is have this set up here, and I'm just going to listen to what these sound like. Really resonant, really loud. I don't like that. Let's bring the gain down so it's not that loud. Bring the slope up just to hear a little bit more what those 2 frequencies are. I like that. And what I'm going to do with this sound is I'm not going to have it be static throughout the pad. It's actually going to have a bit of a sweep, and so I'm going to modulate that in a moment. But I think that's the sound that I want for this. And so now I'm going to go ahead and add a note. Of course, I'm going to track that to both of these cutoff values. I'm going to reduce the Q here and the Q here just a little bit, not too much, but I do want that to be bright the higher up the keyboard I go. There we go. Now I'm going to change the envelope because this one I want it to kind of sweep in and then sweep out, and it's going to be a little bit long. So here we go. Somewhere around there. Let's hear. Okay. Now I have this envelope modulating the cutoff as well, and that sounds like this. A little bit too much. We can reduce the range here, or we can reduce the amount that this is modulating down here. So we have 2 options for that, but I think I'm going to do the range here. Okay, I'm going to leave it like that for now. Now I'm going to add the pad. And it's going to be a sawtooth wave. Still very loud. Okay. I'm going to give it some unison. It's going to be 3 voices of unison, not 4. Give it some stereo spread. That's nice. Okay. And this one is also going to be a pad, so we're going to increase the attack and the decay. Sustain's going to be a bit high, I think. Yeah, I don't want it to be quiet. So somewhere around there. Is that a filter for that too? Low pass. Okay. I think I like that so far. I'm going to add an LFO. Increase the rate here, and I'm going to assign this to the semitones here. We're not going to do too much, because that range sounds like that. I don't want a freaking police car siren pad. Somewhere around here is good. Bring that down a little bit. Okay. Turn the noise back on, hear that together, bring this down. Now, mind you, we're not done with this sound. We still have more to make. We still have more to do. Just want to see what my progress is. Let's add another one. Analog. This one, I think, is going to be my digital sound. And we're going to do some interesting things with this. So here, I'm going to turn this into a sine wave. Let me minimize and silence these for now. Let's bring out the attack a little bit and give it some release. Yes. Okay, that's what it sounds like so far. It might be a little bit long of a release. 420. Nice. Let me see. Maybe triangle. And with FM in Faceplant, just click on this little green thing here and bring it over to the harmonic. Oh, yeah. Okay. But I don't like these ratios. It's too similar to the other sound. I'm just gonna mess around a little bit until I find something I like. Okay, it's a bit of a harsh sound, so let's do something about that. Don't think I want it to be that intense the entire way through, so I'm going to add an envelope to control this and bring the level of that down so that it actually goes up. There we go. It's an interesting effect. It doesn't really do much with this. Kind of. I think it actually kind of fits with the sort of early 90s kind of vibe of moving away from FM type sounds and going into other weird digital-like sounds, like with vector synthesis and wavetable synthesis and stuff like that. Kind of the feeling I'm getting from that. Bring the gain down just a little bit more. There we go. And what does that sound like with this? Very loud in comparison. Interesting. Gets brighter the higher I go. Let's turn this on. Actually, I'm going to see if I can add some more chaos to the noise part of it. So let's add a little bit of some LFO. Oh, shall we? Tent. Let's add a tent. It's a little subtle, actually. Oh, I kind of like where this is going. Noise is getting a bit louder in the resonance. That's sort of fluttering. Okay. You know what? I like this. Now I'm going to go with some effects. Okay, so what I ended up doing is I added effects to each lane, and I sent each of these modules to different lanes. So noise is going to lane 1, pad to lane 3, and digital to lane 2, and each of them is going into the master instead of going one into the next lane. And each of these sounds has effects that are different for the most part, except for the 2 reverbs. So the noise on its own is just going into a reverb with quite a bit of mix, and I think I want to reduce that actually a bit. Maybe. There we go. Just to make it just a little bit brighter. The pad is going into lane 3, which is also very reverby. And it's mostly reverb. Doesn't really need too much. And then finally, the digital is going into lane 2, which has an ensemble effect, which is kind of like a chorusy type of detuning effect. And some delay, which helps to extend the tail of the sound, and all of this together now sounds like this. Don't you feel like you're just floating away on a cloud? On that one level of a video game that you never got to finish because you were just listening to the soundtrack? Like something from the JD800 almost. And that's the Airy pad. So those are basically the 2 types of Airy sounds that I kind of have been thinking about. I've been a little bit obsessed about lately. One of them is a little bit more literal and more noisy, and this one is a bit more abstract, a bit more about how it makes you feel, right? It's about the feelings for this one, right? It's about the feelings of weightlessness, of feeling lighter than air with this one. Something that transports you back to 1991 or something like that. I've put together a few more versions of this similar sound together, and that sounds like this. And there are also some other airy type sounds that I think could fit the mold, could fit the definition. Just anything that transports you to that very specific feeling of being in a dreamlike state with a very 90s flair added to it. Ooh. Stuff like this, too. Oh, yeah. So yeah, that's basically what I wanted to show you. Airy sounds. Something I've been thinking about lately. And me sharing it with you. Thanks for hanging out and watching. Maybe you learned something, maybe you didn't. Go have fun. It's your turn. Later.